Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
Nope. My name is Mike P. Waworski. I am your co-host, coming to you live from the East Coast. Coast with the most, with the co-host with the most, here on the Rundown 2A Views, conservative news. Craig, do you know what today is?
Oh, yes, I do.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yum. It's like
Tacos. God,
You know, the only thing that could make that song better. Oops,
What?
sorry. So the only thing that could make that song better is if instead of saying lettuce, shells, cheese, and meat, they said tortilla and meat, onions, and cilantro.
Or if it was
Yeah,
actually
it is.
raining tacos.
Yes. Well, that would of course make it better.
That would be even better. Well, we're
Yep.
dealing. I'm
Although
gonna tell
I
you
might-
what. Today
I
is going to
probably
be an
need to-
interesting day because I've yet to venture out of the home yet, but it is supposed to be the hottest day of the year. It's supposed to be like 117 here, and I'm like, okay, do I really want to go out and get tacos, or do I just want to look and see what we have here at the house that we can cook up?
It's time to let that Uber Eats driver earn their pay, Craig.
There you go. You know what? That is an excellent point. See, I'm still thinking old school, right? I see that.
No, listen, I know all about it.
That's why,
my-
Mike. That's why you're on the program, man. Because see, you're the one that's forward thinking.
No, it's not me. It's I get to review the credit card statements of my teenage daughter in high school who orders Uber Eats at lunch.
Yeah, it's funny. I used to always say, I am a man who is ahead of my time. Unfortunately, it's only about 45 seconds.
That's it. Yep. There you go. Yep.
Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in today. We very much appreciate you guys tuning in. Hey, however you're watching us, do us a favor. Make sure that you encourage your friends to do the same. Let them know there's tons of ways in which you can either watch or listen to the program. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us. Wherever you like to watch stuff on video, you can find us. Just encourage people, look for the Rundown, 2A News, and Conservative Views. And at this point, let's go ahead and make sure that we let you know about the folks who bring us to you, who allow us to do this for you.
That's right. Let's talk about our good friends over at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. If you've got an AR you've got in the last couple of years, odds are you may have one of their barrels already. But now you can get one for your own personal build. So check them out at hitmanindustries.net. Of course, the California Republican Assembly fighting the good fight behind the enemy lines. Make sure you help them with your dollars. And then if you need good combat gear, tactical gear, you go to uscombatgear.com and you get you some there.
That's right, folks. Please make sure you check out our sponsors. Once again, they're the reason why we're able to come to you. So do us a favor. We make it real easy for you. The links to their websites are in the description of this program. Just click on them. Check them out. If you like what you see, spend some money with them. Tell them that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. Oh, so
There you go. Do that.
yesterday we decided that we were going to honor Labor Day by actually working.
Yes.
And by the way, I had a very, very good time on yesterday's program. And, luckily we were on the program and not paying attention to what our president was doing because, well, let's just say he was spreading the hate, shall we say. I think that's an effective accurate term or terminology for what the president was doing. He was in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. And while he was in those states, he decided to talk real bad about Republicans. He made it a point to, let's just say he was focusing on the what's the term I'm looking for? He was basically referring to Republicans as hold on, I'm trying to find the actual video. I had it right here. There we go. So I don't have the video, but here we have the president. He was there in Wisconsin, and he was talking about MAGA Republicans. And by the way, just so you know, if you think you are not a MAGA Republican, because he talks about MAGA Republicans as if MAGA Republicans are those who support Donald Trump, but it's if you are pro-life, if you believe in lower taxes, if you believe in limited government, if you believe that parents should be talking to their children about gender identity, and sex, if you believe any of those things, if you believe we should have a strong southern border and actually know who's coming into our country, you are in fact a MAGA Republican. And according to our president, MAGA Republicans, and that would mean you, are destroying American democracy. You are the very definition of extremism in his eyes. And he goes on to say the extreme MAGA Republicans in Congress, once again, he means Republicans in Congress, have chosen to go backwards, full of anger, violence, hate, and division, he said. But together, we can and we must choose a different path. Now, Mike, I'm having a very hard time figuring out how when you call half the country, right, full of anger, violence, hate, and division, how can you then say we must come together?
Well, there's two reasons, Craig. One, you're suffering the onset of dementia and Alzheimer's or some sort of senility disease, and two, they don't care. They actually have hate, and the whole bringing us all together is just the statement they make to try and make amends and make it seem like that's their agenda, so they can always point back and say, no, we said we wanted to be together. Right after we said that half the nation was uncurable. That's what we said.
Right, because you are 100% correct. He is truly not interested in making sure that we are coming together. It's his way of saying that if you are not a Republican who supports his agenda, then you are an extremist MAGA Republican. And therefore, we should all hate you, and you are evil. And that is his perspective, and that is what he's pushing out there. The one place I think we need to be very, very careful and not to take the bait is focus. We need to focus on the issues. It ain't about Donald Trump. It really is not. They're focusing on Donald Trump because they know they're wrong on the issues. We need to pivot it and say, you know what? What MAGA Republicans stand for is these issues, yada, yada, yada. And guess what? Who exemplified that when they were in the White House? That was Donald Trump.
Yeah, there was somebody else. He used to bring everybody together. He promoted, harmony. He brought, the lowest rates of unemployment for minorities, the largest amounts of, federal dollars given to minority schools. I don't know. Who was that, Craig? I can't remember who that was.
That would be Donald Trump.
That would be Donald Trump. That's right. That's right.
Funny how that works, huh? Funny how that works.
Yeah.
And once again, and these are all things that Donald Trump is not a quote unquote creator of anything. He just simply looks at the market, looks at what the market wants, and gives them what they want. So he didn't create those jobs. He just got the government out of the way so that those jobs could be created, right? The ideas, the things that he wants to do, the things that he did when he was president were all things that the people wanted. He was listening to the voters, right? That's why you start to see the demographic shift. The other thing that he got from the voters is the voters are pissed off at the swamp. And that's the Republican swamp as well as the Democrat swamp, because there were a lot of people in the Republican swamp that were like, well, it's going to take time and bureaucracy and yada, yada, yada. And he cut through so much of that and got stuff done.
That's it.
You don't have to like his personality, but you cannot objectively deny the results of his policies.
That's it. And listen, he didn't play by the political rules. Listen, there was no, oh, you've been a career serviceman, you've been up here forever. Well, guess what? If you don't play ball with Donald Trump, you're fired. That's all there was to it.
That's it.
It didn't matter whose party you were with. You're done. If you're going to stand in the way of my agenda, you're done. Get out.
Well, exactly. So Biden once again is spreading hate. Once again, basically claiming that half the country is evil and wants to destroy America. But let's all come together, right? That's the point of it.
That's all. Hold hands and kumbaya, and even you dirty racists. What? I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. Well, anyway, you got to wonder about these folks sometimes. And by the way, talking about wondering about these folks, there's a host on MSNBC, and the guy's name is Mehdi Hassan, right? Now, this guy is probably amongst the most liberal. He's amongst the most liberal left wing of hosts. They're over at MSNBC. I don't get exactly what his point is or what his issue is, but dude is just literally. He's about as anti-American as you can get. Well, he has decided to come out and talk about how President Trump. Well, first of all, he talks about how in other countries, presidents are regularly jailed or regularly persecuted or investigated after they leave. And he basically said that here in the United States, the fact that we don't persecute our president, well, that's an outlier, right? In other words, that's a rare thing. And he's quite frankly, to a degree, he is in fact correct. But what he is saying is like, and he's comparing us to countries like Peru, right? Third world banana republic countries that, well, let's just say they wish they were the United States of America. And he compares us to them and saying, well, we need to be arresting more of our leaders. In particular, we need to be arresting Republican presidents. In this particular case, they're referring to Donald Trump. Now, mind you, Mike, he actually does absolutely nothing or says absolutely nothing about what he should be put in jail for. He just simply says that he should be put in jail.
Oh, he said he should be put in jail because he's a Republican. That's what he said. It's clearly a partisan issue with this guy. Mehdi Hassan. He's a former British citizen of Southern Indian descent. He's a Muslim, so he was an outlier in India. He was an outlier in Britain, so he figured he'd come over here and be welcome. And this guy just brings his anti-U.S. Muslim rhetoric to this country. And they put him on the TV, and he says the stupidest things. This is one of those guys that you when you listen to him, you're just, like, how is he not in jail for inciting violence? It's absolutely amazing the crap he brings forth. Craig, he wants to see the president in jail. He says that that's what other countries in the world, and you're correct. It's third world s-holes that have that happen. With coups and toppling and assassination attempts daily. That's the kind of place where that happens. And I would recommend that's where Mehdi Hassan go and spend his remaining days.
Well, here's the thing, and what's funny is that he unknowingly actually acknowledges the American exceptionalism, and it's really can be found in this statement right here. It says, speaking as a relatively new citizen to this country, one thing that is uniquely American about it is that no former president of the United States has ever been charged with a criminal offense. Now, Mike, mind you, he's assuming that our presidents have actually committed criminal offenses. But here's the problem. You come from and support countries and are around countries where you are putting in place criminals. And then, by the way, many of them are not criminals, but they actually just wind up because the new administration comes in. The new regime comes in.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
There's regime change there is a lot different than regime change here. We have a peaceful transfer of power from one group or one party to another, from one leader to another. That is what makes us uniquely American. And if you don't get that, then maybe, just maybe, you don't get what it is to be an American. And you should not have your ass on national TV talking about politics and policy.
Yeah, he's he's expecting ex-presidents to go to jail because he's used to criminals in office and all the other places and all these other little S-holes around the world. That's what he wants to see here. But again, he only wants to see it on one side. He's okay with his party being okay and not going to jail, but he wants to see those conservatives, those Republicans go to jail for doing their jobs and not committing crimes.
Oh, you mean like selling influence as the vice president? You mean crimes like that?
Oh, absolutely.
You mean crimes
Absolutely.
like I don't know, selling firearms to Mexican cartels so that they can shoot American border patrol agents? You mean crimes like that?
Yeah, or leaving 600,000 assault weapons in the hands of your sworn enemy, which, by the way, will probably be used for the next 100 years against us and our friendly forces.
Yeah, probably for the next 100 years. The good thing about firearm technology, it lasts if you take care of it.
Yep.
But yeah, so this is an example of what. But here's the thing, Mike, and this is what's so bothersome. This is what people on the left hear. This is an example of what MSNBC represents. To their credit, CNN is at least trying to take a half a step back from that. But even with that, they're losing. CNN, upon doing that, is losing a lot of the viewership that they used to have. People are just like, oh well, if I can't tune into CNN and just watch them rail against Donald Trump and be anti-American all the time, well then I'm not going to tune in at all.
Yep, you're absolutely right. It's just, CNN gets away with a lot, and this is just more of it, more of the the garbage they put on. Listen, the ratings are at all-time low, and I don't know how they get away with it. Well, I guess it's because nobody's watching it, right, Craig? I guess nobody can complain if they're not watching it.
Well, in particular, the corporations, the businesses that are advertising on these places, and once again, the worst is MSNBC. They are the absolute positive worst. And I don't understand how they get any advertising, because I can barely, I try to read and watch media from all different perspectives, and I just find that station to be utterly unwatchable.
And it's weird. Like, you and I've seen the changes. I used to watch MSNBC. That used to be my go-to because it was the most neutral. It was just, here's the facts. You decide what to do with them.
Well, and not so much anymore.
No, definitely not.
Definitely not so much anymore. All right, now here's another interesting one. Now, I find it incredibly interesting when you're gonna. How do I want to put this? I am a person, and I'm a Christian, right? I'm a believer, and I'm a person who, I generally, as a general rule, even if I disagree with someone, I don't question, in particular publicly, their Christian faith, right? I might talk to them personally and be like, okay, well, wait, how do you arrive at this? I might ask them what they believe. I mean, what's the Christian underpinnings, or where do you see that in your Christian faith? Well, Lori Lightfoot has decided to just flat out blast Governor Abbott out of Texas because he is sending immigrants. He's put them on buses, and he is sending them to places like Chicago. She literally came out and was like, oh no, I'm going to, of course, he said right here, it says, he professes to be a Christian, Lightfoot said at a press conference on Sunday. This is not the Christianity and the teachings of the Bible that I know. I think religious leaders all across the country standing up and denouncing this, and denouncing exactly this. Now, Mike, last I checked, so first of all, borders, language, and culture is very much a biblical principle, and there's very many times where God talks about those things. So that's not even an issue. But when you have someone come into the country illegally, right, and they are in need, and you recognize that there's a place that says, "Hey, come here. We'll protect you. We'll give you a place to stay. We'll give you money. We'll educate your kids. We'll give you free health care. And you don't have to worry about being deported." Now, I'm thinking as a Christian, well, if that's the place they want to go, Why don't I help them get there? How is that not Christian?
Well, first off, here's the answer to your Christian thing, Greg. When these liberals, when these small brains, I call them, when they start the insults, you get three of them, right? And we're all very familiar with the third worst, right? The third worst is you're a racist. They just default to you're a racist. That's what you are. Well, Lori Lightfoot, I guess maybe she forgot about the racist or the order they were supposed to come in. She skipped racist and went to religion. She went, you're not a Christian. You're a bad religion. You're a bad Muslim. Whatever it happens to be, she did. You're a bad Christian, right? And then you finally get down to the number one, which would be yo mama jokes. So that's the final insult.
By the way,
throw at you.
By the way, we said her name 3 times, therefore she has appeared on the program.
Oh boy,
totally forgot about that.
Boy.
Lori Lightfoot has made an appearance. She's kind of like Beetlejuice. So if you say her name 3 times, she actually appears on the program.
Kind of. Look at her. She's just all sorts of. That's just, man. I can't. I'm not even gonna go there. I'm gonna go there. It's funny, Craig, because last week when Governor Abbott said he was thinking about sending the next batch of immigrants to Chicago, she came out and said we welcome them here in our city. And then they showed up at her doorstep, and she's like, whoa, no, you're not a Christian. You can't be sending these dirty people here like this. It's absolutely, she changed her tune in a week of what to do with these migrants. They're in Sanctuary City. It's okay to come here, come be with us.
And once again, think about it. She's probably got a few hundred that have shown up in Chicago. Texas border towns are dealing with hundreds every day. I mean, they've got, let me clarify, not hundreds, thousands every day. And it's like they're saying, well, we're going to provide these resources and we're going to make it a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state, but it's only symbolic. In other words, it's only a public-facing gesture when actually faced with putting out real resources and dealing with the real devastation of what this is causing, like the border states have had to do. All of a sudden, they change their tune. It's like they're acting as if only the border states and only the border towns should have to deal with the consequences of, by the way, people like them, the Democrats in these cities, letting folks know, come here, we'll take care of you. It's Chicago, it's San Francisco, it's Los Angeles, it's Washington, D.C., it's Baltimore, it's New York. You're inviting people, not just the president, but you folks are all inviting them to come, and then you're telling them, yeah, but you stay down there in the border states because we don't really want to have to pay for you.
Yeah, listen, it's one of those issues that the president and the administration refuse to acknowledge, Craig. They're willing to come out and talk about Donald Trump. They're willing to come out and talk about how, Republicans are going to destroy the Constitution because they know this issue is going to eat them alive. It's going to have their shorts when it comes midterms. And when they go do the polls after the midterms and go, why didn't you elect a single Democrat? They're going to go, hello, Joe Biden has allowed over 2 million illegal immigrants into our country at this point. Over 2 million new people you and I are supporting every day, Craig. And he's let them in, and they won't even talk about the problem.
No, they absolutely won't. They act as if there's nothing going on at the border. And
right.
I don't understand them. And by the way, the worst part, once again, is the media lets them get away with it. By the way, in case you folks are wondering, there are kids in cages on the border. Just so you know. And way more than when Donald Trump was president.
Yep.
By the way, yes, Joe Biden has continued the Barack Obama policy of kids in cages. And I'm just using, that's the terminology I'm using because that's the terminology you used when Donald Trump was president. That policy has been continued and expanded under President Biden. Nobody doubt it.
Absolutely right.
Nobody doubt it.
Yep.
All right, this next story has to do with gun confiscation. And by the way, we all know wherever gun confiscation has been put in place, it's always put in under the guise, well, we're going to decrease violent crime and mass shootings. And guess what? It does not work. And Cam Edwards over at Bearing Arms does a phenomenal job in his piece from last week, pointing out New Zealand's experiment in gun confiscation fails to reduce crime. In fact, Mike, it did the exact opposite. Now, gosh, I am wondering, why would confiscating people's guns increase crime?
Hold on, let me see if I can do this math here. Let me see if I get this right. Law-abiding citizens turn in their guns because they don't want to be criminals. They then become unarmed subjects, first off, rather than just unarmed people. But the bad guys, they keep their guns because they don't care about breaking the law. And now they know there's a whole new batch of victims out there that are unarmed because they're law-abiding. I don't know, Craig. I don't know if I can figure this one out.
Yeah, it's as you said, Mike, it's not difficult to do the math. And what they in fact are finding is that criminals have in fact been emboldened because, well, who cares? That's their attitude. Their attitude is, I am no longer, my life is not in danger because chances are I'm not going to get shot. And so therefore they become bolder. I always say, a lot of people put like the ADT signs out in their yard and they think that prevents crime. I'm a big believer in put this home defended by the Second Amendment sign in your window.
I'm a big believer of putting a sign in my yard that says my neighbor doesn't believe in guns.
There you go. That's not a bad one. That's not a bad one at all.
He also doesn't like guns, so if he calls for help, I won't come to help him with my guns. So
there you go.
Just so you know.
Can't
that one
complain
right
about
over
that
there.
one. Can't complain about that one.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys got an issue? Go. Well, not that guy. Go rob that guy over there. Go rob that guy over there. That guy has guns. Don't rob him.
Yep.
That guy, not so much.
I saw a meme that would apply to New Zealand as well. It had the burglar breaking in and the New Zealand citizen going, help. And then it had a picture of it said break in an American house and had an octopus holding 8 Glocks. And it said, it's time to Glock around the clock, baby. It's time to Glock around the clock.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of Glocks. Definitely.
Well, listen, again, reloading is just so old school. Let's just use a different gun. Just keep going.
Well, that's called a New York reload, right?
New York reload. You know why it's called the New York reload?
Why?
Because they only get like 7 rounds in a mag up there.
Oh. That's true. That's actually an excellent point. All right, let's move along to our parting shots for today. That's right, we're doing shots. All right, the first one.
Shots.
This first one
still too early in the week for that.
It actually brings a whole new perspective onto what we've been talking about when it comes to President Biden's authoritarian, fascist, dictator-esque speech. And it did seem oddly familiar. And we brought up a bunch of examples like V for Vendetta or, the Man in the High Castle and the Emperor in Star Wars. But there was another one that was actually was a lot more familiar or a lot more representative. And maybe I didn't recognize it because it was in black and white. There we go.
Yep. I believe if you recall, I said it reminded me of Chancellor Hitler's acceptance speech. Yeah.
Yes, you did. And by the way, it also brings up. So this one, for those of you who are just listening, there's Biden at the top. There's a picture in the meme. There's Biden at the top with his scowl on his face and the red in the background. He's got his fist clenched and he's yelling. And then just below him in black and white, you have Adolf Hitler behind the podium, fists clenched and yelling once again. And then it says on the meme, I thought this looked familiar. Plagiarizing again.
There you go. Doing what he does best.
It's funny how few people or how people seem to have just forgotten.
Whoa.
How many times Joe Biden has been caught plagiarizing, whether it's papers or whether it's from speeches. I mean, just out and outright, word for word plagiarizing. They also the number of times that he just flat out lied, whether it's about his getting into law school or going to law school or getting into a military academy or anything like that. He comes from a day and an age where there was no internet, where people could just Google something and find out that he was a frigging liar. And he just flat out lies over and over and over again, and nobody on the left seems to care.
Yep, that's what he does. Once again, continue to lie. And at this point, Craig, not even sure if he knows he's lying. All right, listen, we know he's got people feeding him stuff. We've seen him read from the cards and say, wait, they told me not to say that, and that kind of stuff. It's just, listen, you're not only voting for somebody that's trying to destroy the country. It's probably somebody that doesn't even know he's destroying the country because he's being controlled by other people. Yep. It's so pitiful at this point.
He's just doing what he's told.
Yep.
All right, this next one is, and this will harken back to the raid on Mar-a-Lago. This will harken back to impeachment 1 and impeachment 2. It will harken back to the Russian collusion scandal. Here's the thing. People trying to figure out exactly what Donald Trump has done wrong and should be criminally prosecuted for. You want to describe this one for the folks who are just watching or just listening?
So there's a young man standing in front of a giant maze, just looks huge, high walls, and there's a little sign next to it that says, "Young voters trying to understand what Trump did wrong."
Now, I don't know exactly because I haven't seen the documents or know what the exact documents there are that are included, but apparently there are dozens of documents that they are saying that are quote unquote top secret or classified. What the media isn't talking about is that there are tens of thousands of private documents belonging to the president that were taken in that raid. We're talking stuff. Some of them were privileged documents. Some of them were private documents. Well, what that's telling me is they went there for more than just these classified documents.
Listen, if as President Trump were to walk into the basement of the CIA and go, "I hereby declassify all this," guess what, Craig? It's all declassified. He's the ultimate classifying authority. No one can counter his classifications.
Okay. Right? I'm not going to say that I believe that it is that simple, as simply as waving your hand over a box of documents and saying this is declassified. But I definitely agree that he has the right and the ability as president to declassify documents. I just would like to know exactly what that process was.
Right. And like I explained to you previously, and all the folks out there, if you turn to the vice president, look at what Mike Pence did, who'd been in government service for many, many years. He did the same thing. He had the authority to declassify issues that he was involved with and declassified them. What they did properly was log it. Okay. Right. And then give the logs to the National Archives and give the logs to the original classifying agency so they knew what happened. What I would assume happened with President Trump is they may not have been up to 100% on that procedure, or the National Archives lost his log, that kind of thing would happen, right? And I'm going to assume that's probably more of what happened, because I'm sorry, there's the absolute defense to this is all these things were taken before I left the Opera House. He didn't go back, Craig. He hasn't been up there since and taken classified documents. Right. There's no way for him to get classified documents since he's no longer the president. Right. Therefore, everything he got while he was president. And right. As president, he has the ability to go, "I hereby declassify thee."
Once again, I think it was a fishing expedition is what it is. And the very fact that tens of thousands of documents that, once again, were his own private documents. Once again, many of them privileged, many of them personal, many of them financial. Because, mind you, if you read the warrant, and by the way, it was a very general warrant, it allowed them to take any document that was created while he was president, during his entire presidency, as well as any document that they believe might be a part of evidence of quote unquote criminal activity or anything like that. So what they're trying to do is, I think they were pulling out those documents to try and put some, provide some documentation to some of these criminal investigations. But what they're going to find is, you know, it was a way for them to get around the locals having to actually have a warrant specific enough to get those things. There, once again, it's a fishing expedition to try and take out the president.
That's it. Very true.
And young
Very
folks are going to see right through it, I hope. All right.
Yeah.
With that, sir, it is about that time for us to give a shout out to our sponsors once again.
Again, let's say hello to Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. If you got an AR, odds are you might have one of their barrels already, but now you can go get one for your own build and have it yourself. Then, of course, there's a California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight. Make sure you go to their page, give them a little donation. It's not easy fighting that the Mussolini over there without your help. And then, of course, if you want the best tactical gear around, go to uscombatgear.com.
Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We're going to call it a day, but we will be back tomorrow for Hump Day.
Hump Day.
We'll see you then.
Mike.